There is something unsettling about Scorpio energy. Not because it is dark, not because it is intense, but because it feels awake as if it is always watching, always sensing, always remembering more than it should. People like to talk about Scorpios as if they are one thing: mysterious, emotional, powerful, dangerous. But if you've ever been close to more than one Scorpio, truly close, you already know something doesn't add up. Some Scorpios walk into a room and immediately take control without asking for it. Others stand quietly in the corner, saying almost nothing, yet somehow seeing everything. And eventually, a question forms in the mind of many Scorpios quietly, uncomfortably. Why does this feel heavier for me than it does for them? Why does one Scorpio seem unshaken by conflict, unafraid of confrontation, almost immune to emotional pressure, while another carries the same intensity like a weight pressing inward, slowly, relentlessly? This isn't about confidence. This isn't about personality. This is about survival. Scorpio energy is not designed to avoid pain. It is designed to endure it, transform it, and come out changed. But not every Scorpio learns how to do that the same way. The difference begins with when the Scorpio is born. If astrology has ever helped you understand your inner tension instead of escaping it, take a moment to subscribe. This channel isn't here to flatter your sign. It's here to expose it honestly. Because Scorpio is not one kind of mind. It is a spectrum of emotional power that splits in two very different directions. Scorpios born in October experience intensity as something that must be handled immediately. Their emotional awareness turns outward first. They feel things sharply and instinctively, but instead of sitting inside those feelings, they respond quickly, sometimes aggressively, sometimes decisively. For an October Scorpio, vulnerability feels dangerous. Not because they don't feel deeply, but because they feel too deeply, too fast. And somewhere early on, they learn that being overwhelmed is not an option. So they learn control. They learn to read power dynamics almost instinctively. They sense shifts in dominance, respect, attraction, and threat. They are rarely unaware of where they stand, and if they are, that uncertainty alone becomes unbearable. When something hurts, October Scorpios don't collapse. They tighten. They sharpen. They look for leverage. Pain doesn't slow them down. It activates them. This is why they often come across as intimidating, intense, or emotionally guarded. Not because they lack empathy, but because they cannot afford to lose control of themselves. In relationships, this creates a particular kind of intensity. October, Scorpios love fiercely. They are loyal, protective, deeply invested. But they need to feel respected, desired, chosen not ambiguously, not partially. The moment they sense an imbalance, that they care more, that they are more exposed, something inside them shifts. They may pull back emotionally. They may test boundaries. They may regain control in subtle or not so subtle ways. Not to punish, to protect. Under stress, October Scorpios don't retreat. They confront. They organize. They take charge of the situation, sometimes of the people in it. Action becomes their anchor because movement keeps them from drowning. But here's the truth that often goes unspoken. October Scorpios are not fearless. They are afraid of being emotionally powerless. Control becomes the armor they survive in. November Scorpios experience intensity very differently. Their awareness turns inward first. They feel everything not all at once, but deeply, slowly, thoroughly. Their sensitivity is quieter but heavier. They notice emotional undercurrents others miss, changes in tone, what wasn't said, what was meant but hidden. For a November Scorpio, exposure feels dangerous. Not because they don't want connection, but because once they open completely. There is no halfway. So instead of reacting, they absorb. They learn silence. They learn to hold emotion inside the body, inside the mind, to process privately, to replay, analyze, remember. Pain doesn't push them into action, it pulls them inward. This is why November Scorpios are often misunderstood as distant, secretive, or closed off. In reality, they are carrying more than most people ever realize. In relationships, they crave emotional safety above all else. They want to be understood without having to explain every layer. They want reassurance without interrogation. They love deeply, but carefully. And when they are hurt, they don't explode. They withdraw. They retreat into themselves, sometimes for long periods of time. They may still be present physically, but emotionally they have gone somewhere else, somewhere quieter, darker, more controlled. Under stress, November Scorpios don't confront. They disappear, not to manipulate, but to survive. Because solitude gives them a sense of control, even if it costs them connection. Here is the truth that is rarely acknowledged. November Scorpios are not weak. They are afraid of being seen at their most vulnerable depth. Silence becomes the place they survive in. This is where Scorpio energy becomes dangerous, not to others, but to itself. October, Scorpios try to control the world so they don't have to feel helpless. November, Scorpios try to control themselves so they don't have to feel exposed. One externalizes power. The other internalizes it, but both are driven by the same fear. If I soften, I will lose myself. Under prolonged pressure, October Scorpios can become controlling without realizing it. They grip harder. They push faster. They burn bridges before anyone has the chance to hurt them first. Under prolonged pressure, November Scorpios can self-destruct quietly. They isolate, they overthink, they carry emotional weight alone until it becomes unbearable. One damages relationships by dominating them. The other damages themselves by enduring too much in silence. And both wonder why peace never lasts. Because Scorpio is not meant to live in control. And Scorpio is not meant to live in concealment. Scorpio is meant to transform. Real power for Scorpio does not come from managing everyone else's behavior. And it does not come from hiding every emotion behind silence. It comes from staying present with intensity without letting it dictate every reaction. October Scorpios heal when they stop using strength as armor and realize that vulnerability does not erase power, it deepens it. November Scorpios heal when they stop using silence as protection and understand that being seen does not mean being destroyed. Transformation is not dramatic. It is uncomfortable, slow, repetitive. It is choosing not to react and not to disappear. It is allowing emotion to exist without turning it into a weapon or a prison. This is the Scorpio lesson few people talk about. You are not here to dominate pain. You are not here to absorb it endlessly. You are here to move through it and come out changed, not hardened. Scorpio is not a label. It is an emotional threshold. October, Scorpios cross it through force. November, Scorpios cross it through endurance. Neither is wrong. Neither is weak. But both must face the same truth. What you are afraid to feel fully will continue to control you quietly. If you are a Scorpio, comment below. October or November? Which survival pattern felt uncomfortably familiar? And if you want to explore the zodiac not as stereotypes, but as psychological landscapes, subscribe. This series is only beginning to enter the deepest signs.